Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rihanna, and there is no Connie today, so it's just me and the lovely Lauren, who's back for part 2, and she's going to tell us all the things about, like, living in a house and medium stuff and spooky stuff, which is perfect because Halloween's coming.
We want to talk about all that. I'm excited. I totally forgot where we left off last time, and I remember you're like, we need to come back, and I was like, oh, why? I couldn't remember why. But here we are. Yeah. So if you listened to my last podcast, what I did tell people was after Ryan had passed away, I started experiencing a lot of like medium kind of tendencies. And I tell people, I went into the bathroom, I think it was like the day after he died, to use the restroom. And if you guys ever watched That's So Raven, where it would go whoosh, and she would like see into the future and it would whoosh back to her. That was basically what happened to me. And I thought I was absolutely losing my mind because
oh my gosh, I would too.
This isn't normal. Like, and basically, so there's a scene from Ghost with Patrick Swayze, and he becomes a ghost and he is learning how to communicate with the living world, and he's pushing a coin, right? And this is what's happening in my vision. And basically I had this feeling of, we're going to do this, I'm going to do this, you're going to basically figure out how to communicate with the dead. Like, that was basically what was happening. And I felt like it was very soon. I felt like I was kind of losing my mind. I reached out to a really close girlfriend of mine, and unfortunately she was in the process of moving, and she's like, I'm going to connect you with this woman. Her name is Angelica Grace. I'm going to give her a huge shout out because she has been such a huge influence in my life. Not only is she a psychic, she's also a medium, and she has predicted pretty much like a lot of my things in my life. And it's pretty scary how much has come true, actually.
Isn't that crazy when that happens?
Oh, crazy.
I made a good friend with a tarot card reader, and then we had her on here, and like the stuff that she said like literally blew my mind. So I feel you on that level.
It blows your mind. But she helped me a lot. She met me, wound up giving me a free consultation, and she was like, you're not losing your mind. You're okay. Like, do you want to learn this? And it was kind of all happening very soon because it was within a week span. And I was just like, yes, I want to. And I went on this crazy journey of learning to become a medium, knowing that I've had this my whole life, psychic medium abilities, but kind of suppressing them a lot. And it grew. And I've toned it down a lot because I felt like ghosts were kind of coming up to me, like in regular life, because they're like, she can communicate. I still do readings, mostly for fun. It's more of like a bar trick, like when you're with your friends and you're drinking and everyone's like, tell me my future and talk to my grandma for me and things like that. But when all this was going on, I obviously was living in the house, and it was really kind of crazy.
How you stayed there that long. I'm thoroughly impressed, honestly.
Thank you. Yeah. If anybody's experienced grief, everybody processes totally differently. And looking back, I'm like, I don't know how I processed that way. During my son's birth and the trauma that came with that, I was like, I don't know how I was able to handle that. And then looking through the suicide loss and living in that house, looking back, I'm like, by the grace of God, universe, the support that I had, a lot of factors made me stay in the house. Number one, everything started going haywire in the market, right? And I wasn't able to move. And we had just moved into that house. We were only there for a few months, 3 months, 4 months, when everything kind of went down. So let me remind. There's an expression that I heard that says, when you experience grief, major trauma, do not make any major decisions for at least 1 year, because you might make the wrong decision. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to fulfill my lease, and then I'm going to see how I feel at the end of my lease. Lease comes up, and I was like, you know what? I can't move. I don't really have the desire to move. I'm still healing. Moving is a pain in the butt, and everything is super expensive. I'm just going to stay 1 more year. Well, that wound up turning into, his death will be September 12th of 2023. So he passed away in 2020. So
What is it with September 12th? I'm telling you,
You
man.
know what? September 10th is actually Suicide Awareness Day. I'm actually doing a couple things with some influencers and NFL players. Actually, it's kind of
Nice. So was his death
interesting.
actually on the 10th or the 12th?
It's so he had passed away on the 12th, but
Okay.
Suicide Awareness Day, the specific day, is actually on the 10th.
Okay, that's what I thought you said. I just want to make sure. It's kind of crazy to me because my best friend in high school passed away, and his birthday was September 12th. So like,
Interesting.
I don't know.
There's
There's something
something
about the
about
12th.
September for a lot of people, and I guess September is considered the highest suicide month for whatever reason. So let's go back. So I'll go back to the house. So I wound up staying there for technically 3 years from the lease, right? So I just moved out in June of this year. Wound up moving into a house that I actually inherited. Another gentleman actually passed away here, and people are like, "Are you sure you want to stay?" And I'm like, "Yes, it's fine." This gentleman has already passed over. We've already saged the place. There's an ongoing joke between my brother and I where it smells like cleansed spirits because I will sage places all the time. When I started dating my boyfriend, I had to put a stop to a lot of the communication because it
Makes sense.
started becoming toxic. It's like crazy to talk about. He thinks it's crazy, but I had to like tone that down a lot. But when I was moving out, a lot of what's the word, spiritual things were happening in the house. Paintings were falling off the wall. The oven stopped working. The washing machine and the dryer went haywire. My assistant started hearing ghosts, and she's not a medium. And she's like, "We need to leave immediately." I talked to my friend Angelica, who's the medium, and I was like, What is this? Like, is he angry that I'm leaving?" And she said, "Sometimes like an energy, it's not necessarily them, but it's like an energy that just exists." So it was like, you know, whatever energy that was, like, it's hard. The way that she put it was much better than how I would probably say it, but it's good. Like, there is a time to move on. It was time. It was good to kind of let that part of my life go because the house, it was like my attachment.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, it's we find ways to hang on to things that we care about, even if it makes sense or doesn't make sense. So the energy in the house wasn't necessarily Ryan. It was just kind of energy in general.
Somewhat. There were times that I felt that it was. And because I started dabbling with medium stuff, I felt other energies as well inside the house. At one point, I did have something like follow me home from a photo shoot when I photographed in a cemetery. So that was there. I had to get rid of that.
Yeah, don't want
Um,
that. That doesn't sound good.
no. So that's why I was like, this is getting kind of dangerous. I probably shouldn't be messing with this stuff. Yes and no. You know, the afterlife is such an unknown, right? Where like you
Yes.
really don't know. In my TikTok, there was a lot of things where I was like talking about I started video recording and seeing a lot of orbs and things like that. At one point I was using a ghost scanner. So they basically like say words and stuff like that. And that was coming up. And once again, you're kind of opening portals and things like that. And I was asking questions, and there were times that I was like, this feels so real. Like, this feels so much like as if you were communicating with me. So, but yeah, like I said, I probably the first year I was like super into it, right? I was grieving. It was like my support. And then we talked about EMDR therapy. And when I started going through that, it also allowed me to kind of like let go.
You were having your own little ghost adventure TV show over there, but without the cameras
I
rolling.
You know what? And I had a really hard time. I couldn't be by myself in that house.
I don't blame you.
Uh, I couldn't really do it very well. The only time I ever did, maybe it was about 5 times out of the 3 years that I lived there. My brother wound up moving in with me for a while, and
Oh, that's
then
nice.
yeah,
Good brother.
He is such a good brother. He did. He was there for me. He had a lot of bitterness towards him. And
I
when
bet
I
he's probably
needed
protective
him,
over you.
I
So
am, I'm his sister. So he wanted to make sure to take care of me. My boyfriend would wind up moving in with me. And then, or if he wasn't there and he was at his own house, I would go over there.
there you go. I don't like I said, I don't know how you did it. I don't think I could have stayed there. Like I get the not moving because, that's a big thing. And as somebody that has to move all the time, it's a pain in the ass. I wish I didn't have to do it ever again. So I get that part, but I would be freaked out too. Did you use like tarot cards or anything? Or were you just using like what you mentioned?
Speaking of my brother,
Yo, what's up?
Hi.
So we were talking about how you wound up moving in with me.
Yeah, I did.
Being a good big brother, which is awesome.
And that I was saging and you thought I was absolutely crazy.
So I looked it up. I'm just like, what is sage? Oh, it's a Chinese remedy for their soldiers, I believe. It was like for, I don't know what year, but anyway, but I'm like, okay, so it's been used to soothe their warriors before they went into battle. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But nothing else. Like, I'm like, there's no other like scientific evidence. I'm such a person where I'm like, there's a logical explanation for everything. I am not a person where I'm just like, I always try and help her and teach her that, hey, there is something going on. Want me to share a few stories? Or
you can go ahead. I was.
What happened was there was a time when a garage door would just automatically close.
Okay.
And the dog would be barking and she would be scared. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's fine. I'm sure there's something going on logically. Well, it kept happening repeatedly.
I'm freaking out.
And every time it would happen, she would run to me and be like, it's happening. So I'm like, okay. We finally found out that it was her previous boyfriend's cell phone that had an app and a device that was hooked to the garage that would automatically close it if it was open after 9 p.m. So I'm like, there you go. There's your answer. There was another time where you downloaded an app.
A scary ghost app?
A ghost. I'm like, we all know an iPhone is the best ghost hunting tool. So
it is.
So I'm like, all right, let's look into this, right? And being the nerd that I am, I ripped open this app. Like I really wanted to dig in the tech, And so I look into it, and there's a chart, a weighted chart. I rip open the app, and it's a weighted table that just is randomized. It's not using any of its sensors. There's no authorization to request access to these sensors because now you're prompted when to use certain parts of your phone, your microphone, certain access to your folders, anyway. And I'm like, there's nothing here that requests this other than this table. And this table reveals that it's your number. Like it said 11, right? Isn't 11 your number? And it said, as long as you paid for it. I'm like, Lauren, did you pay for this? Yes. So I'm like, it wouldn't have showed up if you didn't pay for it. So I'm like, there you go.
He's like, it gave it access to all your things inside your text messages and browser history and everything like that.
Okay.
And there was another time, I think, when you come home and everything's been moved.
That was the Roomba that moved all the things in the house. And I thought, I thought I was either robbed, and then I was like hanging out of the kitchen island for dear life, thinking, I was like, oh my gosh,
or someone's pranking you.
Or someone's pranking me. So, but we checked the ring cams, and it was the Roomba, knocked everything over.
Man, the Roomba had too much to drink. My husband's like that. Very logical, very there's always an explanation for everything. He's the same way.
But what were you talking about me before? You said you were talking
I said that
you were the best brother ever, is what
you
she
were
said.
The best brother ever.
So I'm such a homebody of a person. We're complete opposites. I'm sure she'd probably share something like that. And I am such a homebody person. I love my quiet. I love my peace. And that's what I loved about you'd always be gone.
I would never be home, so it was perfect.
Well, there
And
we
I'm
go.
such a nerd. Unfortunately, all my hobbies revolve around computer. That's the unfortunate part. And I have stuff I want to do. We'll go out swimming.
Yeah.
We'll go places that I want to do. But it's just funny how it ended up like that. We've never fought when we were kids. When we were kids, we had our. I think that was a big key thing that about our parents was that we all had our own separate bathrooms. We never had to fight
Smart.
over one bathroom. We're just wringing each other's necks, like stop using all the hot water or something. So
that doesn't surprise me. Lauren's always been I've known Lauren since we were like 17. She's always been outgoing, spirited, fiery.
Yep. Always get into trouble. That was another part where my parents were just like, they noticed. They're like, everything that Lauren has done, Rick hasn't. And I'm just like, yeah, because I've seen the consequence of what happened. You get yelled at, you get spanked, you get I don't know what, like, did they ever just like say you're grounded? I don't even think they ever grounded you, really. I'm just like, you stole from me. What? Like, here's the thing that I knew.
I stole from you.
I remember. Well, we had this is a long time ago, but I noticed that it was wrong for mom and dad to punish you for admitting the truth. You stole like a gift card from me, and you were planning to give it back because I didn't use them.
I don't remember this.
Yes, when we were kids, I had gift cards.
The truth is coming out, y'all.
You apparently, I noticed, because I always, like, since I'm such a homebody, I will know stuff has been moved. I will know immediately. And so you took a gift card, I guess, and I just told mom about it and was like, hey, mom, have you seen this gift card that I had on my desk? She says, no, I haven't seen it. And apparently you took it, but you told the truth and told ma you did. And so you were punished for it. I'm like, no, that's not right. Like, you should have just told me, but I didn't care as much as long as I knew the answer. I'm just like, all right.
I don't remember this at all, but
So,
I mean, I guess.
I mean, we used to sneak off to the city all the time. So, I mean, things.
We did a lot of bad things.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But here I am back. I needed a dog break, but I also asked you if, like, her Roomba needed cleaning, because there's, like, stuff that always needs to be fixed. And I'm just like, I gotta look after my sister because there's always stuff that's something.
What are the odds that you would come over?
Thank you for stepping in, though.
Rick,
it was a pleasure.
Thank you. Like I said, the odds of you coming over right now were absolutely perfect because we were just talking about you. It was really.
We literally were, like, not even kidding.
This is where my psychic medium energy goes out, and then stuff happens. It does. It does. I swear. This is normal lifestyle.
Don't crush all her dreams, Rick. Don't crush them all.
Don't crush all my dreams.
That was awesome.
Energy out there, talk about people, and they will call me or come over, obviously.
Yes. So I'd asked you about the tarot cards, and I don't know if I don't think you answered it. Did you use tarot cards?
I kind of dabbled a little bit. I actually bought some for myself, but that wasn't something that I could really get into. I do pendulums. So I use a pendulum to do psychic readings.
I've never heard of that, though. How do you use pendulums to do psychic readings? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, so I take it and basically I hold it and it swings. So yes is clockwise and then no is counterclockwise. And then sometimes I'm able to do a little bit more readings. So like I said, yes is clockwise, no is counterclockwise. You just hold it and it'll like tell you.
That's so cool.
It's pretty cool. And then depending on what stone it is, like it can be stronger in like certain areas. So if we're talking about love and marriage and children, like certain stones are stronger, like rose quartz and things like that. Quartz is truth. Like it's like a pure truth. Certain stones work better for me. And it's like I said, it's kind of fun. Like I said, it's like more of like party, like for fun
party trick.
stuff.
Yeah. Has anybody tried to talk to you, or any spirit? I shouldn't say anybody. Any spirit or something try to talk to you, like while you're working at a wedding?
Sometimes I'll get bad vibes, like at haunted places and things like that, or I'll see stuff like I kind of have some sometimes see things, and it's more of out of like my peripheral, like I can see things. So at certain weddings I will, but I really tone it out. I'm so hyper focused on the client. It usually comes from a place of like stillness and calm, like when you're by yourself, or like focusing on that.
Okay. Okay.
So that's a great question. No
What
one's
about
ever
when you're
asked me that.
sleeping?
No, I don't. But at night I do get freaked out. I am 36 years old and I'm still afraid of the dark because I will see things in the dark 100%. And when I traveled, actually, me and my friend Mallory, we went to Ireland and I wound up seeing a lot of things. And they'll talk. So like, okay, I haven't even really gotten into this. So how I'm able to connect, right, with like, so I do a lot of pendulum stuff. It's a visual for me to see what they're saying. Because sometimes, so I tell people the way that you can hear is it's almost like you're thinking, but it's not your thoughts. And this is not when I'm saying this is not schizophrenia. This isn't like I'm hearing voices to kill you. Like it's like more like someone's thought, like someone else's thought, but in your head. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like a different voice. So I can usually tell male, female, old, young. So I'll start asking questions. So I'll be like I said, I don't dabble with this as much. But my friend Mallory's grandmother would come in all the time and make comments. And I'll be like, this isn't me. I'm just the messenger. But she's saying that, this guy that you're with is a POS and, to break up with him and all this stuff. So, and then I'll see things like I said, in my peripheral or in the dark, and I'll freak out.
What were you seeing in Ireland?
I saw an older gentleman in a top hat. We wound up going to some old cemeteries and, they were very friendly. Sounds so weird telling this story. But yes, in Ireland, they're very friendly people. And the older people there are very friendly, very welcoming. Because certain places you'll go to, they'll be like, we don't want you here.
Mm-hmm.
Certain haunted places will be like, you need to leave, you need to go, you are not wanted. Other people are like, hello, nice to meet you. Certain people will try to tell you stories, but it sounds like lots of people are talking over each other. So sometimes it sounds just like garble.
Yeah, like a lot of noise,
Yes.
a lot of background noise.
Yes.
This is also interesting. I'm so intrigued. I've always been intrigued by like spiritual activity and like haunting stories. Like when I was younger, we used to go like to Axman's Bridge and Bachelor's Grove and like all those places to see like what's gonna happen.
I was too much of a chicken as a child because I saw a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I was always afraid, right? Like I said, I've always known I possessed it, and I just didn't really strengthen it until recently. But yes, that is all it's, to me, it's all real, right?
Of course, yeah. A lot of us are very intuitive, but most of us we ignore that intuitiveness and kind of let like our brain take over, which I know to some people it's going to sound kind of crazy because you're thinking like, oh, my brain is intuitive, which it's not. Anybody that's spiritual knows that they're actually very different. Because that was one of the first things when I talked to the tarot card reader. She's like, you could do this. You're so intuitive. Like, that's the first thing I feel from you. And I'm like, now I have 3 stacks of tarot cards and I'm trying to figure out life. So I'm with you. I'm with you on this journey.
Yeah. Like I said, I did a big shout out for Angelica Grace, but she does do this where she can teach you and teach people how to do it. It's not crazy expensive. It's not thousands of dollars, but I believe she has an online course. I'll have to check on that. But she used to do in-person teachings, and it's really neat.
That's so awesome.
And you can, and it's pretty cool.
I'm gonna have to look into her because I at very least would like see what she's about and see what she's doing because it sounds very interesting. I love her name also, which reminds me of what is that? Rugrats? Wasn't the little girl on Rugrats named Angelica?
Mm-hmm.
So did you ever have conversations with Ryan, or were they not like? Were they just kind of like passing thing?
Yeah. So yes, the answer to that is yes. So what we would do, I don't, like I said, I don't do this anymore, but in my teachings and what you're taught is you're going to a quiet room and you kind of ground yourself. You start writing down on a piece of paper everything that you hear them say. So because it's really hard sometimes to process what is being said because someone else is talking. So it's
Mhm.
easier for you to be in a trance state, to allow yourself to let this message come through, right? And I would write everything that was being said. And some of it is, this is what I tell people, is sometimes I felt like it was that his energy, right? And other I felt was like a higher power, right? Sometimes I had a hard time. And like I said, I'm very new. I've only been doing this for 3 years. So it was like I wasn't sure like who was talking sometimes. Um, because it was like, you are gonna get through this. This is the craziest one that I got was the social media celebrity status, which like blew my mind because I have not worked very hard for this, like the social media stuff. And Angelica and all these messages that I was getting, spiritually and all these things for like YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and all of these things, like they're going to come to fruition. You can definitely like make this a full-time career, even if you wanted to. Even Angelica predicted that. She said the end of August, early September. And I was blown away because
Crazy.
she was right. She was right.
Angelica, I need some of that energy. This lonely indie author needs some followers.
She's so great. There's only one other person that I was like, she's the best. And then she doesn't even do it anymore. She was in Arizona. But if you're looking for somebody and she's so down to earth, she's like our age. It's super great to connect with her.
Have to see, maybe she wants to be on the podcast. Be like, come and tell us all the things, all the stories.
She's really great. You know what? She would be a great person to talk to. This is probably a side. She wrote a book about how her brother would have sex with her as a child.
Oh my gosh.
And
Thing.
all the trauma. And she wrote a book, so she's very public about this. So that's why it's okay that I tell this. Otherwise, if it was a secret, I would not be telling this story. So, but her book talks about that and how she was rejected from her family and how so that's why her and I also connect, right? Like at a very, and she's just a strong, beautiful person. She's currently pregnant with her baby and like the man of her dreams. And I am so happy for her. She would
Wonderful.
be a great person to talk to.
Okay, note to self for
I will
future.
connect you both.
Yeah, that would be great. This has all been so enlightening. Like, I mean, we didn't talk about much, but we did. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to leave us with?
Yeah. No, let me think. I got to
I know
come
it's
up
a
with
hard
something
question.
good. Like on my spot now, and I'm like,
This is why editing is the best because I can just go.
editing is the best. I mean, we're talking about a lot of psychic stuff, so I don't know how many people are going to like connect with us. But if they've listened to this whole thing and they do start experiencing that, realize you're not crazy. And reach out. Don't be afraid to like reach out to psychic medium, somebody who's going to possibly help you get through that, because it allowed me to process. Being able to connect at that level allowed me to understand, because I had a lot of questions and I was very angry, and I felt I got a lot of closure based on the answers that I received. And it was good. Um, there's so much that goes back, and so many lies that I was told, and I was like, I don't understand, and why would you do this to me, and all of these things. And Angelica helped me, because some of the stuff I was like, I don't understand, and then she would help me a little bit, and then I was like, oh, now that all makes sense, right?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I think a lot of people, especially when it comes to like unexpected deaths, like that's one of the hardest things. You have so many questions, like, why did this happen? Why now? And like the fact that you're even able to get answers to some of those questions is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, obviously, because I've had a very good experience, I'm very pro psychic medium stuff, because it helped me heal and give me a lot of closure. So I know it's very taboo. I was raised in a very Southern foot washing Baptist family. I recently, well, probably within the last couple of years, I've come out to my mother, and I'm like, my great grandmother was a psychic medium, which my mom is like so embarrassed about. But I was like, that all makes sense now, because
Yeah.
clearly it runs in the family. She says she remembers as a child, like trumpets, like raising from the air and playing, and bowls and all this craziness. And I believe that my mom would always catch me in all the bad things that I would do. So I was like, she for sure is psychic. She knew every time something was wrong. It would catch me up every time. And then I did tell my mother, I said, I'm just letting you know, a friend of yours that's passing, I want you to know that she was able to come to me in spirit and that she's at peace. And she's in hospice. I don't know if she had passed yet, but at the time she was in hospice. And my mom's like, what? And I was like, I'm just telling you that. She's like, I hope it's for good. And I was like, yes, mother, it's for good.
Oh, that's so awesome. I love that. And I didn't even think about it like running in family. So that's also an interesting thought as well.
To look into.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to do some background research.
Ancestry.com.
I was going to ask you if you should write a book. You should write a book about like your history and like your everything, like your psychicness, and not necessarily the trauma.
So I started it. I did. My business is, I don't want to say it's holding me back. Like my business is holding me back. But I'm in busy season right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I'm probably going to wind up pumping it out within the next couple of years because I think it's going to help a lot of people. A lot of things. And a lot of things are going to come out. Like so much stuff that my family's probably going to lose their minds. But I've gotten to the point in my life where I don't care. Like I don't
Good
care.
for you.
Because so many people are afraid to tell, which is why I kind of started talking on TikTok and stuff like that, is we live in a society where we're not allowed to talk about anything publicly. So I put myself out there and so many people were like, this is what I was feeling, but I was too afraid and I didn't know. Right. And so many people said they felt so alone because they were told to just get over it or grow up or, suppress the feelings and all these things.
All the things. Yeah. That was one of the reasons we started the podcast, to let people know that they're not alone in whatever journey they're on. Cancer, death, anything. Because your episode may help one person. It may help 20 people. We don't know.
Yeah. I still get messages from people that will be like, because of your story, like I didn't take my life. There was a gentleman that was like, because of you, I was able to see my son being born. And I say that in a very humble way. And I'm crying and I'm like, he's like, it took me so much courage to even write you this message. And he was like, I just didn't know the effects that my suicide would have on my wife and my family until I saw your story. And this is kind of why I still tell my story and probably will for a long time.
I love that you're raw. I love that all of our guests have become so raw with us. And we appreciate you. Thank you again for being here again and taking another 40 minutes out of your life.
Of course. Not a problem.
And this is How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real, guys. We'll see you next week.